Another ear infection. In exercise 15, you used a confidence interval to examine the effectiveness of a vaccine against ear infections in babies. Suppose that instead you had conducted a hypothesis test. Answer these questions without actually doing the test. What hypotheses would you use? So in this case, our null hypothesis would be that the two groups suffer from ear infections at the same rate. So meaning the proportion in the vaccinated group who get ear infections, not p hat, but the actual proportion, and the proportion in the other group that get ear infections are exactly the same. In other words, that the difference between the two groups is 0. And the alternative is that the group with the vaccine being group 1 is the vaccinated group, and group 2 is the non-vaccinated group. We're expecting the vaccinated group to have fewer ear infections. So the proportion in group 1 should be lower than group 2. We're expecting fewer ear infections in group 1, meaning that the difference between the two should be less than 0. So it says state a conclusion based on your confidence interval. So if you remember our confidence interval, we found there was a difference. So here, because 0 was not in our confidence interval, so that meant we had evidence. We had evidence of a difference. So in this case, that would cause us to reject the null hypothesis. And it says, if that conclusion is wrong, what type of error did you make? So in this case, if we reject the null hypothesis and we were wrong, we've committed a type 1 error. And D asks, what would be the consequences of such an error? So the consequence of rejecting the null hypothesis the consequence of rejecting the null hypothesis but being wrong, this would cause us to believe the vaccine is effective when in reality it is not. That would be a type 1 error.